important. And I think what we realize is as our community grows, we need people we rely on. COVID really showed this in the limelight, that it doesn't matter, it didn't matter where you ended up. You ended up in Columbia, in Cornell, in NYU, in the Brooklyn hospitals. It didn't matter. You know, the people who got the best care wasn't in the best, or what we think might be the best hospitals. It was our community members. So that's why I think that what they're doing here today is 10 times more important than what I did. And I think that it's important for the entire community. So I think it's important. I think that everybody in the crowd is smart for coming. And without further ado, what we're going to do is I'm going to let Amy speak, and then we'll get an introduction from every single person on the panel. We'll ask a couple of questions. If anybody has a couple of questions, they'll ask. You can ask everybody respectively to see what's bothering them, what's ailing them, or what they have in the future. And then we'll wrap it up at that point. So, Amy, without further ado, it's over.
Thank you, Ralph. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Kudos to all of you for coming. Anyone that has a passion for the medical field, good for you for coming out and for listening and for learning. A little background on my own history. I graduated from NYU, I want to say 16 or 17 years ago. Started in pre-med, and then met my husband and got married, and life took over, and pre-med went out the window. Thankfully, after I had my 4 kids, my husband actually pushed me very much so to go back to nursing school. So I went back to nursing school with my 4 children when my youngest was 2. And it definitely had its challenges as a mom of 4 with a life and things that I was used to that I had to like readjust to go into nursing school. And with the help of so many people, family, friends, my husband became Mr. Mom. So again, for all you guys that are young right now and that have the passion, go for it and do it. I'm thankful for the way that my life unfolded, but had I had all these people to inspire me back then to go for nursing, it probably would have been a different situation for me. So these guys up here are amazing, and for anyone up here that's thinking about going into the medical field, you guys are amazing, and if I could give you a piece of advice is go for it. It's possible. You could do it with kids. You could do it while getting married. We have people that were engaged that got married in the middle, that had kids in the middle. It's always doable. So whether you're my age and you go back with 4 kids, or whether you guys do it now while you're young, which is awesome, definitely go for it. And always live to fulfill your own dreams. And I'd love to hear from all you guys who are my inspiration as young community members, to hear everyone's story here.
So I think we'll start with you, Victor. You introduce yourself. Everybody will introduce yourself, what you do, what field you are, what you're coming for, in a couple of sentences, and then we'll open for the questions.
My name is Victor Orfali. I'm an EMT, and I'm part of Hatzalah of Jersey Shore.
Why'd you do it?
I did it because I really like giving back to the community, and I happen to really like the medical field in this aspect, and it made me really want to help in any way I can, and I was able to volunteer and join something like Hatzalah.
What do you do when you're not doing Hatzalah?
I work for my father in wholesale.
Working for Chabby, it's a tough one. I'm going to leave that alone. All right, let's pass it along.
Okay. Well, this is very scary. Hi, I'm Sarah
Amy
Harary.
bites, don't worry.
Oh, okay. Hi, I'm Sarah Harary. I am a medical assistant. I worked in urgent care for a while, as I also worked at the center, so I did both at the same time. I want to be a PA, so I was doing this in the meantime until I get in to get my feet wet in the field. This one.
Hi. Hello. Hi, I'm Jen Mala. Mizrahi, sorry. So growing up, I wasn't like, die hard, I want to be a doctor, but growing up, I always loved science. I always was interested in the field, and I was like, okay, let me look into this. So I did a few things. I shadowed, and I considered a PA school. I applied, and I was ready to go. And basically, at the end of the day, I realized that what I wanted was to be a doctor, and it was really hard because there weren't many women around to like look to or talk to and ask like, how'd you do it, how'd it go? So it was definitely a very big leap, and I decided to do it. So all of you can, and definitely possible. I just had a baby in October, and you could all say hi in the back right there. So if any of you have concerns regarding getting married or having kids or raising a family during med school, you could hit me up, and yeah.
Hi, I'm Maurice Mulceri. I'm a third-year resident at Palisades Medical Center up in North Jersey. I went to Flatbush. I graduated in 2012. I graduated Yeshiva University in 2016 and medical school in Buffalo in 2020. Medical school and my medical career has been a very long journey, and a lot of life changes along the way, including getting married, having kids, and a lot of challenges that come with being a Jewish religious resident in really any kind of medical residency. And I'm here to answer any questions and help anybody who needs it.
Hi guys, my name's Laniado. I recently graduated from NYU as a bio major, and I'm pursuing medicine. I would love to be a doctor. Previously, I was unsure, but the process of being in college and deciding on a major, I did kind of a trial and error, and I decided this is what's best for me. It's kind of a passion, and I think it's the only way to pursue this is deciding it's a passion and giving it your all, because it's a lot of effort. And if anybody has any questions for me, post.
Hey guys, my name is Lily Madab Bozaglo. I'm a third-year dental student in Rutgers. I graduated from Flatbush also, and I got engaged and married in dental school. A lot of people thought that would be really hard and not doable, but it totally is, and it even made, I would say, my dental school experience better. It made me and my husband closer to go through that together. I mean, still going through it, and I think being a dentist is an amazing profession for both men and women, so if you have any questions about that, feel free to ask. And my dad is Dr. Ralph Madeb, sitting right here. Sorry if you guys didn't know.
Dad and a dollar wouldn't get us Starbucks. I'm going to start by asking Victor, 'cause you're next to me. How do you think that, what do you think the impact of Hatzalah for our community is, and what made you make that jump to go in?
So what I could say about Hatzalah with the impact in the community, you see all the videos lately that we've been posting about when we do our fundraisers. The second you call for an emergency, you call 911, and when 911 shows up, it's a complete stranger. The difference with Hatzalah is it's someone from the community, someone you might know, someone who may know you, and what that actually does is it gives the patient a level of comfort knowing, okay, I have someone who knows me and wants to take care of me. And I've seen it on numerous accounts actually, where I've had to call for a family member or a friend, and knowing the person who's there, I see the way they converse with the patient compared to working in the 911 system, which I have, and you see the level of comfort and the priority of care that's given. And it really made me want to do it because it's a way to give back to my community.
Tell the audience really, what advice would you give to all these youngsters, anybody who wanted to do Hatzalah? How would they pursue it? What do you think the course is? Just give them like 2-3 minutes on what that would do.
So the way I did my course, actually, Mag and David has an internship in your senior year, and they want you to pick something that you want to progress in your career. So me, I was debating back and forth between a bunch of different things, and it happened to be right near Mag and David High School. There was a EMT program, so it was a 2-month course, the same amount as the internship, and I decided, let me take my EMT course. I got it approved by the school. The school said I can do it, and I did it 5 days a week, 9 to 4. I took a medical course. It wasn't as advanced as everyone else over here, but it was a way that I can start progressing in my medical career and learning all the ins and outs of medicine. So by doing that, you would take anywhere from a 2-month to a 6-month course. And the biggest thing I would say is if you want to join Hatzalah, you have to understand the 3 main rules that older members have taught me. The way you look at it is because it's also volunteer and you have a job and you have a family. It goes family, the first one. Family and friends is always first. Work, then Hatzalah. Doesn't mean you undermine it, but that means also if you're in the middle of something, you have to make a judgment call. If you're nearby and you're able to help, you go. If you're not, you wait and see if someone else is closer and able to help. So that's really how you have to look at it. You can't go full force into something because, again, you are volunteering, you're not getting paid. Your life also matters as well, and you can't divert something 100% volunteer to a paid job that is what's supporting your living and your family.
He brings a good point that I want to share, which is something I wanted to touch on. And Dr. Mosseri, you'll follow, I guess, because it's going to be in your field. I have a different outlook. I know that Hatzalah, he's right, and or they're right, in that, you know, it's taxing, and you have to know if you're available, and if you're not available, there's many members. Medicine doesn't take that rule. And I think that's one thing I point out, and I was very vocal with my daughter, is that if you pick this profession is not 9 to 5. This profession is not 12 to 12. This profession is not 3 days a week. You know, the days of doctors were playing golf on Wednesdays, and then Fridays they're going for a drink at 5. It doesn't exist. Medicine is 24/7, 365 days a year. It's in Deal, it's in Brooklyn, it's when I'm in Italy, it's when I'm in France. And really, that the token is not to me. This the learning, and I'm sure Amy can tell you because she's a genius. And you know that the token is on Joe Batesh and it's on Limor Medeb, because that takes away from your family. It's 365 days. You can't be a good doctor, I say all the time, unless someone dies in front of you and you don't learn from it. And the second thing is, you can't be a great doctor or a great nurse or a great Hatzalah if you're 4 days a week. It's 365 days a year, 7 days a week, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Christmas, Thanksgiving, it's every day. And I think that's the number one, you know, concept that needs to be understood. There are many jobs that don't exist like that. The stock market is only open certain times. Chabby Orfali could sell all the electronics he wants certain days a week. You can't sell them on Christmas. You can't sell them on New Year's. Those days you're off. I think you're never off in our field. God bless Dr. Fariwad. Everybody says this. He is working 365 days. If there was 24 hours, he would do it 25 hours if he could. And I think that's very important. Dr. Mosseri, what is your thought? Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I just wanted to add a little thing.
Yes.
Don't let him scare you, everyone. Yes.
It's not about scaring. It's about knowing the truth. It's about knowing. I think that there's a lot of stuff I didn't know. You have to be led by passion in this field. It's not about scaring.
No, I'm
it's
kidding,
about I hear you. It's I could be rough. My daughter wanted to do medicine, and then Lily, why don't you tell them?
I'll tell you. When I first started college, I was really into being a doctor because, you know, my dad was a doctor. I really looked up to him for it. I had a passion for science. I wanted to be just like him. And he sat me down and he said, "You can't." But not because you can do it, but he gave me this speech and it made me think twice about it. And it actually, like, I still would have done it, but somehow it made me go to a dentist's office and shadow, and I fell in love with that. So that's why I ended up where I did. And I think that if you have a passion for medicine, you will do it. And you can do it, and you can, and you know, my dad does it, and he's so great at it, and everyone here will be or is already great at it. But you do need to be led by passion. And for me, that led me to my passion in a different way, and that's why I am where I am. And I also do want to add that with dentistry, you can have the schedule you want. And if you wanted to be in the emergency clinic, you can. So I'm kind of shouting out to dental school. So everyone who's interested, you can have both worlds with that.
Okay, now that I'm just going to
So Lily's a great salesperson over here selling everybody on dental school. I think she's doing an amazing job. But what Dr. Medeb has to say is really the truth. It really boils down to your support system. And you need to have people who have your back. You know, when you're younger, that's your parents. But for me, you know, in residency, it's really my amazing wife, Shira. I wouldn't be able to do anything without her. I think I would literally starve to death without an exaggeration. God bless, she's home most Shabbats, just her and the 2 kids. And it really comes down to having that passion and dedication, because you are going to be called, even on your scheduled day off. You'll get called at 5:30 in the morning and say, "Hey, we need you today. This person called out." Yeah, you're scheduled off. It doesn't matter. We don't care. Last year, I was supposed to be scheduled for a 2-week vacation, but then one girl broke her arm, and somebody else got COVID, and then my tickets to Florida didn't matter. It didn't matter. I was here. And it comes with the territory. You are responsible for people's lives. You're responsible for people's health. You are there for people in their worst moments. You're there to support them. You're there to give them compassion, but most importantly, you're there to treat them. And people don't only get sick on Tuesdays or Thursdays. People get sick on Shabbat. People get sick on holidays. People even go to the hospital on Yom Kippur. And whether you're there taking care of a community member, you're there taking care of one of your friends or private patients, or Joe Schmo down the street, it's still your responsibility to take care of them. And at the end of the day, you need to have the passion, you need to have the drive, and you need to have the right support system to help you do it.
True. So I wanted to add also that, not to say this isn't all true, I just felt that when I was looking into medicine, a lot of people gave me the same speech over and over and kind of dissuaded me. That's why I was saying don't be scared, because my sisters, all three over there, they sat me down before the first day of medical school, and they're like, you sure you want to do this? You could back out now. Nobody's going to know. And at every point that I made this decision to move forward, there was somebody telling me, are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure this is what you want to do? Are you sure you want to make this commitment? And I just feel like we have to change the rhetoric and kind of make it like you can do this, and we're going to support you, and we'll be there for you. And they have been amazing. Everyone in my family has been amazing, and my husband especially, and everyone, my in-laws also. Everyone's like, you're going to be a doctor? What about your husband? What about this? And everyone had these fears, and it felt unsupportive at that stage of my life, until I said, it doesn't matter if I have the support or not, I'm going to go forward. And then at that point, everyone did support me. So I think it's important to, even if you are being dissuaded or getting these dense speeches that make you feel like maybe this isn't what I want, or can I commit my life, I think take it day by day, take it step by step. I did 1 year, it was okay. I did the second year, you get through it, you make it, and I think that's an important point to take home. And I also think it's important to, I think it's important to also find a mentor that you can confide in and see that it's okay to, let's say, have these moments. It's okay to have feelings of fear to go into this. And in general, I don't know how true this is, I guess Maurice and Dr. Mmd, but in the newer generation and the newer world that we're all a part of, there's more about mental health. There's more about taking that break or taking the time. If you need to take a time off, medical schools are understanding now. They let you take a semester if you feel like you can't survive anymore, or they let you take off if you're having a kid. So at every point in today's day, it is advancing, and it is caring about your stability and your health. So I think that in the olden days, it may have been a little bit more scary and dense, but maybe in today's day, or in the future, in the next 20 years, when you guys are doctors, that it'll be better.
She's calling me old. That was the point of the conversation.
No. You look very young.
But the truth is, I'll give you a hardcore example. There's something called the Bell Commission. The Bell Commission, there was a resident who committed suicide in one of the call rooms, and they attributed it to overwork. When I went, I hate when they used to do this. When I was a resident, but when I was a resident, I walked in Monday and I left Thursday, and then we thought we had off till Monday, and then Friday they call you back. Especially when you did transplant, there was no time. But at the time, it's very exhilarating. I was flying all over the states, getting organs, and it's a great feeling. One thing we shouldn't do is scare you. To her point is that it is very hard. But I think one thing I was never told how hard it was, and I think that should be the leading point for the next question. Laniado, why don't you tell us or tell the audience what is the process that you needed to take to get into, to start to see if this is what you want to do, and what actually needed to be done. And Professor Harary, maybe you'll also tell us about your challenge, the challenges of what you thought about going from a medical assistant to medical school. And then Amy will take away the microphone because I can't stop talking.
So I think the entire process of deciding you want to be a doctor is kind of a mix between personal experience and also kind of a trial and error, because everybody has that point in their life where they don't know for sure, is this what I want to do? And in college, you have the opportunity to take different classes and try different fields, or even take internships. A lot of high schools offer internships. And in that process, you kind of find where you want to go, and it's okay if you don't. But deciding something like this is a very big deal because you're devoting a lot of your life. You're taking your study materials to meals, your family's eating, and you're sitting there with your printed lectures out. Yeah, and I have siblings in the audience. They could tell you that I spent a good full year not sleeping in my bed. And it wasn't a bad thing. It was just I was trying to commit all of my time to study and, try to be the best I can be. And in that process, you find that if this is what you want to do, like everybody's saying, passion, then you'll give everything you can to it. And then when you're done with college, when you're applying, there's the process of taking the MCAT, which is obviously hard. But it's not something that everybody can't do. It's very possible. You just need to devote the time. And if it's something that you want, 100% you'll give it. And if you give the time, anybody could do it.
Okay, now my turn. Well said, Teddy. So for me, in college or even in high school, I knew that science was in my blood. Two of my brothers are on Orthali. AB's back there. Shout out. But I knew science and medicine was in my blood, and I loved it, and it was something that came easily to me. But I wasn't such a good test taker. My friends know that I couldn't study. However much I would study, I wouldn't do well, no matter how much I knew the material more than they did. But I think it boiled down to loving it, and exactly what everyone's saying. I know we're being repetitive, but the passion is what pushes you to continue going. Is it working? And I'm not in medical school. I'm not in PA school yet, but I as a medical assistant, I'm still applying to PA school, and everyone always asks me, how are you still doing it? How are you still pushing, even though you're not getting in? And it's because I really, really do love it, and it's in my blood, and I can't fight that if I wanted to. I wouldn't be satisfied doing anything else. So I graduated from Brooklyn College. I became a medical assistant. It just happens. God really takes you where you need to be. I became certified in phlebotomy, which is drawing blood, and EKG, as well as BLS CPR certified. I kind of took each class as it went, as the courses came towards me. And these are not in college. I took these outside random with random people not from the community. And again, I would only be able to do that because I love it. And I became a medical assistant at urgent care through a connection from my brother. He knew someone on Hatzalah that worked with the urgent care people. It's all about networking, of course. And in the urgent care, I was taking blood, and I was doing COVID testing and strep testing and taking vitals and all these things that I probably would have never learned until I got to PA school or med school or basically what I mean is that you learn a lot of it on the job. And I'm not even there yet, but I love what I do when I'm there. I love it so much that I could be sitting in urgent care for 12 hours straight, and I don't even realize that the time passes me. Even I was talking to Amy about this, through COVID, when December hit and it got very bad again, there were lines wrapping around the corner, and I'm just testing people left and right, and I'm taking vitals, and it's the same thing over and over again, and I loved it. I was obsessed. I got home, and I would lie down on the floor because my back hurt, and I didn't care. I loved it. It was awesome.
It's true. Okay. So going back to what everyone was saying about the passion and about it being a 24/7 job, it is because people depend on you and people know that they can call you. But again, when that passion and that love is there, it's just always something you want to do. It doesn't matter if it's midnight. I had someone call me the other night at midnight, and I ran to their house, but I ran happily. It wasn't like, oh my God, now I have to go again. So when you do have that passion and the love for the medical field and the passion to help people, which I think everyone here does. You have to have that care and that want to help others. It really, yes, it's a job, and yes, it's 24/7, but it's also so fulfilling, and it's just an amazing feeling. So no matter what hour of the night, and Ralph, I call you myself at all hours of the night, and always there to pick up and always willing to help, because that's just what we all do. So kudos to everyone. And then for whichever girl wants to answer here, as a woman in this community, what was your biggest challenge that you faced trying to go into medical school or trying to go into dental school or trying to go into PA school? What's your biggest challenge, and how did you overcome that?
So I think the biggest challenge, of course, is just being a woman.
Yeah.
yourself, like itself. It's very hard. It's very easy for people to just be like, yeah, but who's gonna be with the kids, or who's gonna be helping out, or who's gonna make dinner, and comments like that all the time. I come from a lot of girls, and my sisters are also in the like working, so that definitely helped. But I think at the end of the day, like if you see yourself as a woman and you think of that as a small thing, then like that's just gonna hurt yourself. If you say I'm a woman, I can handle anything. I literally, after I gave birth, I looked at myself, I tapped myself on the back. I'm like, wow, like honestly, women are legends. You like I just think people don't give themselves enough credit when looking in the mirror or whatever it is. And like day by day, the more that I'm able to do, I want to share that with women and like talk to as many women as possible and be like, no, you're capable, you're of so much more that you realize. And like just from birth, you're putting yourself down, or no, maybe I can't, maybe I, like whatever, and whatever it is, or whatever, however the rhetoric is around us. But if you just look yourself in the mirror and say like, no, I'm capable, like I promise you, you will go as far as anything in the world. You could be the president, you could be the whatever you want to be, you're capable. And obviously my husband, amazing. It's very important to find a partner who supports you. He's holding baby, he's baby mom also, loves her, he's the best dad. So that's definitely important. Look for the right guy. And yeah, the rest I guess just falls into place, and just have confidence in yourself. And boys, be good husbands.
I think what Jen said was like really the point. A lot of people look at themselves, especially, you know, as a Jewish mom, Jewish wife, you want to be what everyone wants you to be, and you look at yourself and you're like, maybe I can't do it, maybe I can't do both, and that's wrong. You can do those both. You can be an amazing wife, you can be an amazing mother, which is sitting right next to me, and you can be an amazing dentist, an amazing doctor, an amazing PA. And one big thing that I have to say is also support. I have like an A+ #1 husband who lets me like studies with me till 4 a.m., lets me study till 6 after that, like while I'm laying down, falling asleep, waking me up, Lily, you have to get up, you have to study, you have to study, and always supports me, pushes me to be a better student. And when I come home and I'm like, that's it, I can't do this, it's too much, he's like, no, you can, you're built for this, you can do this. And my parents are the same way. They pushed me, they got me here. So I think support is really important, and if you don't have that for whatever reason, that's what we'll do for you. You text me and I'll tell you you can do it, because you can. And I want to let everyone know that I like barely slept last year studying, but I cooked every single night before every single final. Not saying you have to, but if you want to, you can. And there were some nights where I came home and I'm like, we need to order in. I can't do this right now. But I had a final the next day, and I cooked, and I ate, and I sat down with my husband for 15 minutes, and we had a great dinner in those 15 minutes, and that even got me through the rest of the night studying. So I think you can do it. You just need to know you can do it. Don't let other people say, oh, how are you going to do it? You're going to say, just the way I've been doing it so far. I'm going to keep just doing it.
Victor, what do you say about that? You gotta get you married soon.
I hope I didn't make anyone feel weird.
Also,
He's taken.
Logistically, I know we're talking about very like emotional and support stuff, but logistically, you have to make time for everything in life. So maybe men, let's say, don't have that worry or that like thing in their head, like, oh, I have to figure out how to fit in my baby at this hour or make dinner at this hour. Schedules are key. Apple has a great schedule maker. You just put it in dinner time. Cook dinner, baby for this hour, baby for this hour. You got it done. You just have to be committed and go for it. And if you're try to organize yourself, and logistically, you could do it. Okay, done.
Schedules are really nice until you get to residency.
I'm sorry.
And then somebody gets to completely change your schedule, and then you're supposed to be home by 8:30, and then you get stuck in an extra 2 hours of a case. And you'll be able to deal with it once you get there.
Right. I mean,
I'm not there yet.
I think I wanted to mention counter argument, so to speak. I think that what they're saying is true. It's not working again. Again, I just want people to see the other side, and this is what the doctor was saying, is that one thing you learn as you pass that stages of studentship, so to speak, that maybe my wife should be on this panel, and that is, there is no schedule. You could start a appendix and you tell your wife, I'm going to be home by 7. We're starting at 5. I can write the notes. I'm going to be able to write the orders. I'll be out by 6:15. We live 15 minutes from the hospital. 7 o'clock this, and then you open and you find cancer. Now that 1 hour operation is going to turn to 4 hour operation, and no way in hell, if you want to finish that residency, you're going to say, Dr. Peacock, I got to go because I told my wife we're going to go see Top Gun at 7 p.m. That's not happening. Unless you don't want to finish residency. But the point is that passion drives you, and that's true. But see, the gentleman here who's taken, as I just found out on the first, is that not everybody has to do everything. When I sat and I told Lily, I said, yeah, you could be a great doctor. You got the genetics for it, but here is a guy who works, and he's still going to be in the medical type of field, and he donates his time for Hatzalah. And what's the beauty about it is sort of you can have both of both worlds. You don't need to do everything, and that's the key, is to prioritize what you think you need for your life. And I told my daughter, I know you could be a great doctor. You could be the head of the hospital. You could do whatever you want. You just have to understand that is what you want. If you want, you can achieve it. But if you want to be a mother also, and you want to be, a good wife, and but if you want to run the hospital, you could also. So I think it's a matter of you where your passion leads you and what you want to do. And if not, you find other things that are in the field that you're volunteering for, that you're doing. And that's why I think it was important to have somebody from Hatzalah here, because these are people that a lot of my friends, that they want to be in the medical profession and they want to help people, and they have that passion and the drive and that thrill to be able to help people. At the same time, they have a full-time job. They're either full-time husbands or full-time fathers or full-time workers or whatever it might be. What do you think? Is that pretty accurate, or? Yeah, you can say something. Make your father proud.
So I could say that's very accurate what you said. For example, I did look into the medical field. I was a little bit back and forth on it, looking at the time frame, how long it would take, if I wanted to do it, if I didn't want to do it. So that's really where I started with doing Hatzalah. But at the same time, like everyone said, medicine is a full-time job. Hatzalah can be a full-time job as well. You have to remember, you're leaving your family, you're leaving your friends. The second that radio goes off, you're out of the house, you're out of wherever you are. Friday night dinner, I finally come home after work, whatever it is, my mom makes a great meal. Kiddush comes, the second we start Hamotzi, it goes off, I'm out of the house. In the morning, wake up, my family can also attest to this, my radio wakes me up sometimes before my alarm for work, and I'll be out of the house at 4 o'clock in the morning. I'll come back, I'll have enough time to get ready right before work to leave. I go to sleep. The second I go to sleep, it goes off. In the middle of the night, whatever time it is, this radio is constantly on me. It's always on my hip. It's always ready to go. I'm always prepared. I have everything I need if I need to. I have my keys. I have whatever I need to go. But at the same time, I can also balance it. For example, when I'm in work, I'm not taking calls because I'm in the city. So at the same time, those hours that I'm in work, I'm able to do what I need to do to make a living. But then the second I get home, radio goes back on my hip, and I'm prepared to do what I need to do to help people in the community.
I also want to add about what he's saying is sacrifices. There's a lot of sacrifices you're definitely going to have to make, and you have to be okay with that. For me, I said, let me take each sacrifice day by day. For example, when applying to med school, there's not a lot of med schools that are feasible to get into or that are in New York. So when I sat down with my husband, he was like, one sacrifice that I think that you should make is that we could only be in New York. So that cuts down your list to whatever it is. Another thing is when you're choosing a residency, like he did or you did, some residencies are 5 years, some are 3, some are 2, some are 7. So at each stage, you can make an adjustment for whatever you choose. And let's say, for example, let's say I love surgery, but I want to be home with my kids. I could potentially choose a field that may not have as long hours or hours where I could be home more often with my kids, which is a sacrifice in itself, but at least I'm still in medicine. So that was one big thing that pushed me, was I just want to get into medicine. And then when it comes to choosing a field or the hours that I'm going to work or the time commitment that I'm going to give to medicine, I'll get to that when it's up to that point of the career, and just day by day, and you're going to have to make sacrifices.
Yeah, I just wanted to add something.
There's the dad. He has arrived.
when you put yourself in this situation, you find yourself that you need to be very proactive. You know, you need to plan internships and shadowing, research, and in that process, you find yourself you have a very little time to go out with your friends or to plan trips. And I found myself missing a lot of this, but you need to keep in mind in the future, how worth it's going to be. You need to look at it and say, this is what's going to come out of it. And I've even had a talk with my parents before I made the decision. And I was like, what am I going to do? How am I going to get married? How am I going to make money? It's not going to happen for a bunch of years. And like everybody said, you need that kind of support. And when you get that support, it kind of makes the decision much easier for you, because then you say, like, it's going to be okay. You know, it's a lot of time and it's commitment, but at the end of the day, you end up finding your way. Like Hashem shows you that you could do it, and things will work itself out. You just need to commit.
One sec. I'm gonna wait for the train. Yeah, the sacrifices, I really wanted to tell you guys about that. There was a lot of times where I was like really deep in like my tests, and especially once you get to that point where you're done applying and you're so happy and you're in school, and like 3 weeks from then you had 4 tests in a row. Each class 10 credits, they don't care. So it's all about restructuring your schedule. You should always make time for yourself, but I did find myself missing, some parties, some invites, and I'll tell you right now, it's worth it, and it was okay, and I got through it. And there were some nights where I was up studying all night. Like, you might lose sleep some nights. You might be up all day, all night, trying to get to that point. And then you take the test, and the test pass. I'm sure there's more sacrifices after that. I just got over that time. But when you see your first patients, when you graduate, I don't know what that's like yet, but that's when you say, wow, like, I'm so happy I did that, and I'm so happy I got over it. And you're happier that you gave up those certain things for just a little bit to get where you are now, because those sacrifices are worth it, but they're 100% there. And sometimes they're overwhelming, but once you realize, okay, right now I'm in dental school, I'm a dental student, and that's how I'm going to treat myself, and that's how I'm going to treat the situation, and you move on from it. I think you start to accept that, and you start to be happy that you made that decision to prioritize it and things like that.
Anybody in fear of rain? I'll stand up here. Anybody have questions? Could be the parents too. I know Alan Mal is not shy of words. Questions? If not, I'll continue to ask. Yeah, okay, here we go. Don't be embarrassed. Nobody bites. Not even Mosseri.
Do you guys have advice on application processes and like finding a way to communicate and say like all your passions in like words and get yourself to the point where you're applying and getting acceptances?
I could say something, even though I didn't get in yet, but I did learn a lot on the way. Something that I learned about like your personal statement that makes the biggest difference is that does everyone know what a personal statement is? It's like your essay that tells everyone why do you want to be a doctor, why do you want to be a nurse, why do you want to be a physician assistant, and you don't just say I'm good at this. I am a very caring person. I love science. It's in my veins, right? You don't say that. You have to show it. So you tell a story. You say, I was walking down the street, and a lot of people have stories like this. I never did. Maybe that's my problem. But someone dropped in front of me, and I jumped on the scene, and all these things, and showing what you did, right? You show what those qualities are. You don't just state it. You show it. That's something I really learned.
So I can agree to that, and I just went through the medical school process, and then applying to residency, you also need another personal statement. And then applying to fellowship, you need another personal statement. So you're just going to keep writing these stories about yourself. And let me give you just a few tips. You want to tell a story. So really a story, like she was saying, like someone collapsed in front of me. But you want to use that to talk about characteristics about yourself and say what you learned from that story about yourself and how you're going to apply that going forward, right? You want to use that to bring up your positive characteristics and also throw in a little bit of a background about yourself. And these little things is what's gonna help you stand out. And then on top of that, I don't know which kind of program you're applying to, but if you're applying to medical school, they're going to ask you for like things like hobbies and activities and what you do outside. And people neglect those because people think, oh, they just want to see that, I do all these good things like volunteer work and research, and all that's important, and it better be on your application. But what also is important is to have activities and interests that are outside of medicine or nursing or anything that you want to do, things that are completely and totally unrelated. And that's actually what's going to make you stand out. And I can say that the medical school that accepted me actually accepted me, I think, because of my outside interests. I went to Yeshiva University, just like Dr. Medeb, and there I was actually in the Chazanu Club, and I was like the vice president or whatever it was back then. And that's what they harped on. That's what every interviewer at the medical school that I ended up going asked me about, to the point that like by the third interviewer, it's like, okay, this is what they're going to ask me, and this is what I'm going to talk about. And that was all they were interested in. So you have to make sure that you have those outside interests, and that it's something that you can talk about and that you could be interested in. And it's just not all the same, redundant volunteer work and research and everything, because every other applicant, every single one, they're all going to have it too.
Right. I'll tell you, I review a lot of applications, and, it's boring. It's the same. Everybody applying with you is in the top 10 percentile. Everybody's doing biology major. Everybody. In fact, one guy, he was like, had the lowest scores, and I interviewed him. I made sure when I was in Rochester, because he wrote a whole essay. He wrote a whole essay about winning his little league in the 9th inning, scoring a home run. But if you saw how he wrote it, you knew that this guy was passionate. And I'm sure he got into our program as a urologist and he was going to be a surgeon. But you could tell from that dumb little description of a ninth inning home run that this guy has it. And he had the lowest of the scores on the USMLE to get into the thing, but it turned out to be a great resident. Any other questions? Yeah. Here, use the mic. Anybody here next?
Hi, Lily. I have a question. Okay, what made you want to pursue medicine after having your dad in medicine? I don't know how it was growing up. Was he as around as a regular dad was? What pushed you to say oh, I'm going to copy my dad?
So I have the best dad ever. He was my hero because I knew when he wasn't home, which was, some dads are home a lot. My dad was not always, and that's okay because I knew what he was doing, and I thought he was, and I still think he's a hero for that. And I think now that I'm older, I think my mom is also a hero for dealing with that. But, it kind of pushed me. I loved science because my dad loved science, and it turned out that, I ended up making it my own thing, and that's why I think I ended up somewhere else. I'm not in medicine, medical school. I'm in dental school, and while it's related, I feel like I took my own spin on it, which was really nice because I respected it a lot from my parents. If you have any other questions, any pre-dental kids out there, please reach out. It's totally good because I remember I had a lot.
Yeah, I have another question. Okay, Jen, I have a question for you. What made you switch from PA to MD? What made you do it? Because I'm doing the same thing.
Yeah, so basically I was always a school lover, loved school, loved tests, loved studying. I don't know. I think science is so cool. I think any subject is so cool. So I applied to PA school because I thought it would be the better fit for having kids. I thought it was a perfect compromise, be home, be working, work part-time, whatever it is. I got into PA school. I applied. Applying is so annoying. I feel bad for all of you, but it gets better. You get through it, and it's worth it. So I applied to PA school. I got in, and it was around March, and I was starting in July, and I was like, why am I not excited? I love school. This is a weird feeling. And one day, I just started, hysterical crying. I came to my husband. I'm like, I don't think I want to be a PA. And it was just, a huge moment where I was just like, am I going down the wrong path just to make other people happy? Is this what I want or is this what people want? Is this a short-term goal or is this a long-term goal? And I sat with myself, literally locked myself in my room, and I was like, and I hate being alone. I hate sitting in my room, and I just sat there, and I was like, what are my goals? What do I want in 10 years from now, in 20 years from now, in 30 years from now? What's going to make me happy? I have a very strong personality. I don't know if you could tell from our panel, but I love being in charge. I love making decisions. So it was am I going to choose a life where I'm under somebody or whatever? PA is a great field if that suits you. Again, if I went back and did it, I'm sure I would have been happy, but something in me just was like, are you sure? Are you sure this is what you want to do? And I said, let me just take the leap. If it doesn't work, I could always go back to PA. There's no one chasing me. There's no one telling me I have to finish med school. There's no one telling me I have to be the best doctor in the world. I was just like, let me follow my heart. Let me follow my gut. made the decision. I started studying for my MCAT the next day, and I took it.
So I'm a pre-dental student and just applied to dental school, but I'm going to have a gap year ahead of me. Aside from working as a dental assistant, which I plan to do, what are some other things I can do to fill my time during my gap year?
Shadow specialists. You should shadow, because you can shadow one dentist and then you're gonna love that, but then you're gonna go to dental school and everyone's gonna talk about this specialty, that specialty, and you're gonna be like, should I do it? It's so many more years after dental school, and then you're not gonna know, is it worth it or is it not? That was my mistake. You should shadow periodontist, orthodontist, endodontist, then you'll see something that you love or maybe that you don't, and when you get to dental school, you'll be more focused because each specialty might have something that you want to do while you're in dental school. Like some like research, some don't. Some you want to have the top score of the class, and some you really don't have to. You just have to be interested. So I would say get in the field as much as you can, focus yourself, see which specialties speak to you the most, and you'll also have more under your belt before you get there. Because once you get to dental school, the more you hear, because it's another language, the more you hear and the more you understand, the more prepared you'll be for these classes in the beginning, especially.
I'm going to just reiterate 2 points here. First, the difference between a PA and an MD, because she said it very nicely in terms of what the passion is, but both have, obviously being in charge, being the captain of the ship is very important. But at the same time, a PA in today's time is probably the most coveted job in the medical industry because it's shift work, but obviously you don't have to train. I trained, meaning train as long. I went from age 21 and you don't finish till you're age 33. It's a very long time not to be able to make money, not to be doing that. And the PA job is 3-4 years, it's 3 or 4 years, but their autonomy today is, or nurse practitioner, as Amy's going to be, is by far leap years of what they do. Before they would just let them take history and physicals. Now I have PAs in the operating room that they're opening wounds, closed wounds, and running around. They're taking care of patients, discharging patients. So I don't want people who are in the PA industry to think that that's not, what it's cut out to be. It's actually very profitable. Your investment is only 3 or 4 years, and if you have a great mentor, you'll learn. And I know PAs. Believe me. I had an episode, I was having chest pain, and I don't know what it was. Maybe it's a credit card bill, but whatever it is, I had a PA taking care of me. Person that I've trained, my own family members were there, and I felt that they were just as good, if not better, than some doctors that I know, unfortunately.
I'll add to that from what I learned from shadowing PAs. Yeah. So for me, for my journey in medicine, a lot of the time I was like, do I want to just be a doctor? I don't know if it's not as cool to be a PA, like you don't have the doctor in front of your name. But a lot of what I learned from shadowing is that, like Dr. Mmd said, is that PAs really do a lot of what doctors do and nurses do. Something that when I spoke to my mom about this, actually, I said, Ma, like, I don't want people to look down on me, like they're not going to respect me as much because I'm not a doctor. And I know that's something that a lot of like people that want to go towards PA think about, but she said, you could just be the best PA and you could be a very good PA and people will respect you. So for me, I'm trying to learn as much as I can, and I'm not going to let not being a doctor or like being a PA speak to me as lesser, because it's not. If you're good at what you do, then you're good at it and people will respect you for that. I couldn't go down the MD path just because I'm not a good student, like I said. And you still have to really be a good student to get into PA school, and that's why I'm really trying really hard. But I still love the field, and I love science, and I love medicine, and I want to help people. So PA works for me. It might not have worked for you, and I could understand why 100%. But yeah, that's why I'd rather do PA than MD.
Hi, guys. So I wanted to know, this question kind of goes out to everyone. I wanted to know, like, how'd you know what you wanted to specialize in, what field you want to be in? I'm graduating nursing school in December, so I have to start thinking about that. So if anyone wants to answer that.
Yeah, I know. We can fill the hospital with all these. Okay, so the question was, how did they think about how they want to specialize or what they want to specialize?
So I can tell you I'm yet to find my specialty. So I think it's part of the journey, and it's part of figuring out where you feel most at home. And like Lily said, shadowing people, and you're finishing nursing school, so you probably did a couple of your clinicals already. So wherever you feel most comfortable. I actually originally thought I wanted to do labor and delivery, and then COVID hit, and I wasn't able to do my rotation in labor and delivery, so I missed that experience. But I think it's just experiencing. I think it could be that you take 3 or 4 jobs before you find what you really love. So I think take your time, and like a few of them set up here, take the challenges as they come. So take the job and try it. If it doesn't work, move to the next until you find something that you really love and you really feel at home with.
Yeah, answer. Anybody.
So I think that's probably the hardest question that we all have to face, and I'm sure that Jen is actively facing right now, and that I just went through recently. Through our process, at least in medicine and medical school, is you're going to keep going through all these rotations, and you have to get that exposure. And sometimes that exposure is a little clouded by the exact people you work with, whether that's the team or whether that's the people around you. But you really have to focus on the actual labor of the work. What are you physically doing? Because that's what's going to be pretty consistent from location to location, from place to place, as opposed to, your coworkers. They're not going to come with you where you go, right? So if you can really think about that based on your previous experience, did I like the pediatric unit? Did I like working with kids more? Did I like working with the adults more, right? If you could focus on what exactly you did in each field, then you could figure out what you liked better. And if there's other fields that you're interested in that you didn't get exposure to, getting that exposure, and again, just focusing on the work itself, as opposed to, the people who you work with who ultimately make the work enjoyable or not. But focusing on what you're doing is what's going to help guide that decision. And I think, that's something that applies to if you're in nursing, if you're a PA, and that also applies to if you're, a 3rd or 4th year medical or dental student. And I think that's what made the process particularly challenging for me is when I rotated through internal medicine, I hated my team. I hated the people I worked with. I hated my attendings. They made me miserable, and they were the worst. But when I thought about the actual medicine and the people, the patients, and the work that was done, that I loved. And it took rotating through the other, 8 rotations of medical school or 10 rotations or whatever it is. It took rotating through all those to realize, just because I liked that person doesn't mean that he's going to come with me where I go for the rest of my life. But the medicine that I do with that person that I hated, that's what's going to stick with me. So it's about focusing on what you're doing as opposed to the setting of where you're doing it and who you're doing it with. So if you can try to focus like that, it'll help guide your decision a little bit.
Okay, and to add to that, I would say, like, before even going into school, get your feet wet in every field possible. Every summer, I shadowed a different doctor, tried a different field. I did a colorectal surgeon, a pain management. One year, I was a medical assistant for a GI and a primary care doctor. The next year, I was a medical assistant for an OB. And my goal was really to just see everything and then see what I liked or what stood out to me in each of those fields. For the past few years, I've been like saying, I want to be an OB. I need to be an OB. I need to be an OB. And I worked there for about a year and a little over a year. And you see the ins and outs. You see what's good about it, what's bad about it. I thought delivering a baby was the coolest thing ever. But then I spent half my year, and you realize that that's not an everyday occurrence. It's once in a while. Or you realize that what you thought a job was is not necessarily the whole job. Recently, I just had a baby, as I said, like 100 times. And I started going to the pediatrician, and I was like, oh, wow, this is super interesting, like helping a new mother and guiding her or making her feel comfortable answering questions about the baby or lactation or things that are interesting in different ways. So I think don't set your mind on one thing. Be open. Right now, I still didn't choose, so you could hit me up in like 2 years. I'll let you know what I do choose, but I'm trying to be open to all fields, all specialties, and I would say to do that and don't go in with your head on one specialty.
I know